Hello, I am back, and no, the channel is not dead, but I do only upload when I have spare time in my spare time, and I've not had much of that in recent months. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at one of my two custom factions, the Magicians, and before I start, I want to give a big shout out to Reddit user Captain Cardboard for all the help he has given me to create these custom factions. Without him, these would just be, a list of abilities, so thank you again for the help with that. Now, I don't usually delve into the world of custom smash-up factions. There are a lot of them out there. Some of them are better than others. They often aren't polished enough to really interest me. So the fact that they're not official, sometimes they're unbalanced, sometimes the wording's poor, or the design is obviously flawed, it just doesn't really interest me all that much. What does interest me about custom factions, however, is that they do demonstrate the sheer design space that remains in the game, both from a thematic and mechanic perspective, and it highlights that there could still be years worth of official content to come. Very rarely though, sometimes an idea does grasp me, and I simply have to get that idea down onto paper. And the inspiration for Magicians all comes from Viking Funeral, the Viking card that first introduced the concept of the box. And for a long time this was the only card in the entire game that referenced the box as an entirely new place that cards could be, and as an entirely new interaction in the game as well. And what the box means is that the card is put out of the game entirely. Unlike the discard pile, there's no way for you or any other player to retrieve the card. And for 3 years, until Holy Grail from the Knights of the Round Table faction, it was the only card in the game that referenced the box. Now with the imminent release of Disney Smash Up, it looks like there might be other cards that reference the box, so clearly it's an area that the designers of Smash Up, they were interested in exploring further. And this is where the Magicians come in. I had scratched together a number of card abilities for a custom faction revolving around the box, however I wanted a payoff in the faction that allowed retrieval from the box, kind of contrary to what the box actually is supposed to do, but anyway. And what the Magicians do, they pull rabbits out of the hat, they make things disappear and reappear, and they seem to do the absolute impossible, so it felt like a good thematic fit. So the Magicians have powerful abilities related to putting cards into the box, and they also have some payoff related to accessing those cards again. They delve in card draw, extra plays and some power counter gain, however they lack traditional recovery from the discard pile and have very little interaction with other players' cards. So let's start with the top, with the King Minion, the Magician. Magician is a power 5 minion, fairly standard for your King Minion, with a single ability, talent, place one of your cards in the box into your hand. Now you might be thinking, big deal, it's just talent draw a card. We've seen that on other King Minions as well as lower power minions. But this isn't just talent draw a card, this is talent draw a specific card you chose to put in the box earlier in the game. This then creates an interesting dilemma. Do you put your best cards into the box in order to redraw them again when you play Magician, and risking that you may not draw Magician early or even at all in the game? You can almost think of the box like a side deck, which you can create. It's safe from the other players, it won't get shuffled to form your deck again, and every card you put there makes your 40 card deck smaller. So you could put your worst cards there knowing that your overall deck size then gets smaller so that you can cycle through it faster. So it's a straightforward ability with some depth, and it's fitting that it's the King Minion who has this very strong effect for the faction. Next up is the Confederate. The faction follows the traditional minion power structure with 2 power 4 minions. For this faction I've used a number of already existing reference points to hopefully make an easier job to actually balance the abilities and the overall faction. So this card's very much based on the top tier for the sumo wrestlers, with the minor difference of the removal of one or more in the card ability, as with this faction you can't actually place multiple cards in the box at the same time. Not much to say here, this is one of the beneficiaries of placing cards into the box, and your main base breaking minion. Up next is 3 Kardashians, and all the names are magical terminology and I've attempted to match the flavour of those terms to card abilities. But the Kardashian is whenever you play it from your hand you can place a card from your discard pile into the box to draw 2 cards. By my reckoning, the Kardashian touches every possible play area except out of play. And the term of reference for this is Akio the Turtle. So Kardashian gives the faction some good draw as well as being an enabler for placing cards into the box. Although with this it's cards that are already in your discard pile to help balance it. So Kardashian gets better as the game goes on, and it also means that if you want to put the good card that you played into the box, you have to have already played it, discarded it, or the base has to have broken that the minion's on. Finally, we have 4 Magician's Assistants, and this has both a special and ongoing ability. The same ability with multiple keywords is more common in other card games, but it's never been done in Smash Up, possibly because there isn't a lot of overlap between the timing keywords. Ensign and Deputy are probably the closest reference points you get to this minion, But in the Magician's Assistant, I really wanted some mitigation against placing cards into the box. You could make this just a special to be played from hand, but I don't see why this ability couldn't trigger from hand or from play for flexibility. As well as protection against putting a card you didn't want to into the box, the Magician's Assistant also opens up other niche plays, such as making Kardashian pseudo-recovery by placing the Magician's Assistant into the box instead, and that card into your hand. For the actions, we'll start with the first double feature, Sleight. It's a ghostly rival with the condition that you must place a card from hand into the box to do the effect. As we've seen, this can be a good or bad thing, and it can be mitigated. This is just universally good burst that is actually better for the partner faction, as with the Magicians you don't really want to be using the extra minion play on the Magician's Assistant to put it into play, so there's really only 6 viable minion targets in the faction. For the other double feature we have Top Hat, a card very much inspired by the View from Above in the Spider-Verse faction. Now you might think this is exactly the same card, but one finds an action, the other finds a minion, at the cost of exchanging the other type of card and shuffling into your deck. This is another universally good card for pairings, helping you to search for the exact card you need with the minor drawback of exchanging the card back into the deck. For the rest now we have Magician's Apprentice, which is a play on one of your minion's action, and it gives your minion the same ability as the Confederate. This duplication of a minion ability onto a play on minion action is quite common in the game already. I was very comfortable with this one. Next up is Mark, the only card in the faction that interacts with other players, and this one is inspired by Feeling Lucky, except that the value is delayed. The other player retains the minion until it goes to the discard pile. However, it allows you to remove the minion from the game entirely, whereas Feeling Lucky just sends it to the discard pile. Combine this with a way to send the minion to the discard pile quickly, and the threat has been completely removed, it's never coming back. Now some games will go very quickly, or the opponent will have no way of accessing their discard pile, so this card actually may have very little value in those games. However, as it's a one-off, it has synergy with factions like Lucadors, and in games sometimes it will have great value. I was again comfortable with the include. Next up is Misdirection, the only play on base card in the faction, and this one's inspired by Always Room at Granny's. It's weaker than Always Room at Granny's in that it's not a special, so it can be removed from play before you do get any value from the card. You have to place one of your minions in the box, and the Magicians themselves have effectively 6 good minion targets for this. However, it's stronger than Always Room at Granny's in that it puts the remaining minions into your hand rather than top or bottom of your deck. I do like having at least one play on base action in the faction as well. Lastly are the Pledge, the Turn and the Prestige. The Pledge is a simple draw card, draw 3 is strong, and importantly you draw the 3 cards, then place a card from your hand into the box rather than the other way around. The Turn is one of the payoff cards for placing cards into the box. Of course, if I'm designing a faction, I want a card in there that gives you a VP, and this is very much based on cosplay for the geeks. There are combo wombos in there with a Magician's Assistant to gain multiple VP in a turn, and this is very much a card to target with Magician. Those combos aren't particularly easy to have lined up though, and I think that on the comparable power level to, at the apex certainly to something like Last Dance. Also changing the Magician's Assistant to ongoing rather than both keywords could be a potential resolution if this one is really problematic. Finally is the Prestige, and this is another payoff card, and alongside Magician it's the only way of accessing cards again that you put into the box. And I really like having before the base scores special cards. They make the game exciting, they offer you some comeback potential, and this one is as good really as you make it. If you put weaker cards into the box, then this card will be less impactful, and vice versa. So there you have it, that's the Magician faction. Now there may well be broken combinations and fatal flaws that I just haven't discovered, and I've fallen into my own critique of custom factions potentially, but it is very hard to balance a faction in a game this large. However, a lot of cards are based on already existing cards, so I do feel comfortable with the power level and balance of the faction. Famous last words, of course. Once again, thank you to Captain Cardboard for the help with the faction, and I'll see you all next time, whenever that might be. Goodbye.